Is high. Kong seems as tall as the mountains themselves. He has his broad-shouldered back to Chapman, who stares open-mouthed. While Kong's black skin and brown fur pretty much exactly resemble a normal gorilla, he walks upright like a man. His muscular frame features long, swinging arms and powerful, stocky legs. As Kong looks round, Chapman inhales sharply. Kong hasn't spotted Chapman, who sprints towards a rock and ducks behind it. The water at Kong's feet settles as he scans the area. Chapman peers around the rock where he left his weapon and kit. He watches as Kong studies a deep wound on his own bicep, dipping giant fingers into the blood, then crouching on his haunches in the river. He grips his hairy bicep and flexes his fingers, then squeezes the bleeding wound harder. Kong grimaces and bares his teeth. Chapman spots some deep cuts on the otherwise smooth black palm of Kong's hand. Kong flexes his arm and his fingers. He looks down at the river and gently touches his reflection in the water with his index finger. The surface ripples. He plunges his hand into the water and lifts up a fistful to drink. Chapman looks fearful as Kong spots something and reaches out. As Chapman ducks, Kong suddenly slams his fist into the river and pulls a long, pink tentacle from beneath. More tentacles rise around Kong, who's quickly enveloped by the flailing limbs of a giant octopus. Chapman watches in amazement as a thick sucker tentacle wraps around Kong's dark trunk. Kong thrashes and pulls at tentacles around his head, then slams the flat of his hand onto the giant octopus's head, which sprays dark ink into the river. Kong tears a tentacle in half. A chunk of octopus flesh bounces off the rock beside Chapman, who peers over at Kong, tearing tentacles apart with his teeth and messily devouring them. Kong seems satisfied, sitting in the river with octopus parts hanging off his face and shoulders. He pops a finger into his mouth to help down one of the slimy tentacles. Kong rises, towering above the river. He turns to walk away, dragging the octopus corpse in his wake. Chapman watches him go. Further downriver, a wooden wall stretches between mountainsides with burgundy flags hanging from the top of the 4-story structure. Beyond the wall is a